You're watching the news, bringing you all the most important updates as of 5 p.m. in the studio with Marina Kukar. The Russian Oreshnik isn't as invulnerable as it seemed. Today it became known that Ukrainian special services destroyed this complex even before it could be used to threaten the world. Putin. The operation, which was carried out the summer before last, was declassified by the head of the SBU during a meeting with the president. How did our special services and air forces dispel the Kremlin's myths about the Oreshnik, and what needs to be done to prevent Russia from producing it? Olena Honcharenko.
Ukraine destroyed the Russian Oreshnik complex, which is used to launch ballistic missiles. It was one of the three that Russia had. The successful special operation was carried out by the SBU and the GUR at the Astrakhan testing range, Kapustin Yar, back in the summer of 2023, when no one knew about Oreshnik yet. For the first time, the head of the SBU, Malyuk, reveals details of the classified mission behind enemy lines. Apart from Zelensky, only the presidents of a few countries knew about it.
The destruction was 100%. It was a very successful operation, but at that time it was not publicized in any way. This happened at a time when basically no one in the general public knew or used the name Oreshnik yet, and at that time the Russians weren't really threatening with it yet. If I'm not mistaken, this was in the summer before last. Thank you.
Everyone learned about Oreshnik, the weapon Putin is waving around for the whole world to see, in November of last year, when the Russians struck Dnipro with a medium-range ballistic missile. The Kremlin dictator cynically called it a test at the time and claimed that the first serially produced system would soon be delivered to the occupying army. However, according to aviation experts, the destruction of even a single system slows down Russia's transition to serial production of the Oreshnik.
In fact, it was. There were only 3 or 4 launches in total, most likely 3 launches, including the one where they fired at Dnipro along a low ballistic trajectory. So, if we manage to destroy one of these Oreshniks, it means at least a 6-month delay for the entire program. Although it's possible there were components there that are completely unique to a specific mode.
Putin was scaring the whole world, saying that Oreshnik is a cutting-edge weapon that can't be destroyed by existing air defense systems. As it turned out, the complex is not a new Russian development, but just another modernization of Soviet legacy, which has significant shortcomings. New risks are posed by the announced deployment of Oreshnik in Belarus. According to President Zelensky, Europe should pay attention to this. Ukraine has provided its partners with a list of 25 enterprises. These companies are involved in the production of Oreshnik and have not yet been subjected to Western sanctions. Meanwhile, the head of the Security Service of Ukraine announces other operations on Russian territory. He says there is already a plan and specific targets that our defense forces will strike.
All defense forces are working together in the field of operational planning, in perfect unison. All of this is carried out under clear leadership of the General Staff of Ukraine. Missions are planned and then executed. Some of them are very successful, others simply successful.
Just look at what they're worth. The large-scale special operation Web, which truly has no analogs in the world. In June, SBU drones struck dozens of Russian strategic bombers behind enemy lines, aircraft that Russia no longer produces. The enemy's air force suffered losses exceeding $2 billion. Olena Honcharenko, MU Ukraine, Marathon, United News.
Next year, due to sanctions, the Russian budget deficit could reach $130 billion, President Volodymyr Zelensky stated at a meeting. Because of the American sanctions, Russia will lose about $50 billion, and due to the EU's 19th sanctions package, another $20 billion. The Russians, the president says, have already lost the capability to produce new missiles, although they are still increasing the scale of production of UAVs, cables, and artillery shells. Due to sanctions, Russian imports have dropped to 1%, which is almost 10 times lower than before.
This could lead to a Russian budget deficit of up to 100 billion next year. Here we have different analyses. Some estimate up to 100 billion in development, which is a more skeptical view. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is more optimistic. For us, it's 130 billion. They are counting on the budget. Next year, 210 billion, and for 2026.
And today, President Zelensky signed a decree on new packages of sanctions against legal entities and individuals. Among them are propagandists who justify Russian aggression. Of the 14 people, 12 have Ukrainian citizenship. Economic restrictions have also been imposed against 36 companies that support the enemy's military-industrial complex. These are residents of Russia and China, as well as Iranian companies that produce solid-fuel missiles. Also included is the Ministry of Defense and Logistics of the Armed Forces of Iran. Ukraine is synchronizing these sanctions with those previously imposed by the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. 2 people were killed in Kherson due to a massive shelling. During the day, the occupiers shelled the city with artillery. A man was killed right in his apartment, and a woman died in the middle of the street. A shell exploded next to her. Another 10 people were injured. Shells landed on residential buildings and shops. There is also destruction at the local market. 2 more people were injured in other parts of the city.
She died instantly, and the other was taken away by ambulance. It hit behind the kiosk. We called him, but he didn't answer. Then they broke the lock and the door trapped me so I couldn't get out.
In Sumy, restoration work continues at the sites hit by Russian drones. At night, the enemy launched about a dozen drones at the city, hitting residential neighborhoods, critical infrastructure, and the private sector. 12 people sought medical assistance, and 3 of them are children. Most people have an acute reaction to stress. More about the consequences of the Russian attack. Oreshnik.
And yes, 10 times in a row. Enemy drones hit one after another at night in Sumy. Various neighborhoods of the city were hit. One of the Shaheds hit the upper floors of a high-rise, causing a fire there. The explosion was so powerful that up to 10 apartment buildings were damaged nearby. At the site of the strike, rescuers set up a tent where residents of the damaged apartments could warm up throughout the night. The headquarters was also operating, and nearly 30 people spent the night in the shelter as the attack on the city continued.
All the cats ran away, I don't know where. The windows on our balcony were blown out, they had wooden frames. We nailed some things up so that at least something would hold.
Near the volunteers' tent, pensioner Hannah is crying. She moved to Sumy in April from the Kodinska community, part of which is now under the control of enemy forces. Even here, she says, there is no peace.
We asked for shelter, but everything burned down. Some things were brought here, and now this is happening here too. Here.
Your house was completely destroyed there in that place, right?
The terrorists themselves did this. They are not human.
Almost all the balconies and windows in the building were smashed.
We haven't slept. My daughter was very scared. She's stressed. She screamed.
Was that after the first Shaheds flew over, right?
We heard the first Shaheds. We just went quiet and sat there. And then they came here. It was very scary. People were screaming.
Now the building is without gas, electricity, or heat. Utility workers plan to restore it by the evening. As for the most damaged apartments,
these apartments will need to be inspected by experts. 3 apartments over there were hit. As you can see, the balcony is gone. I think most likely they will be uninhabitable, but again, we still have apartment 50, which will need to be restored.
The Russians also targeted the private sector. Yuri's family survived by a miracle. A Shahed struck right in front of their house. The house was blown apart completely.
More than half of it. The building is destroyed, all the windows and doors are shattered, there are fragments everywhere. Thank God no one was hurt. The head of the Sumy City Council Commission insists that this is not considered completely destroyed property, so the maximum compensation is 350,000 hryvnias. What can you do with 350,000 hryvnias? You could only demolish it for 350,000 hryvnias?
The occupiers also sent several more drones toward the railway depot. Only passenger cars are prepared for trips here. A work facility was destroyed and the Sumy-Kiev train was badly damaged. But despite the attack, the train left for the capital on time. Reserve carriages were quickly brought to the platform. During the night, 12 people sought medical help, including a 14-year-old girl. She is receiving outpatient treatment. From Sumy, Olesya Borovik, Alexander Oleksienko, we are Ukraine Marathon. United News. At the
front at this very moment, 21 battles are ongoing. Our defenders are repelling attacks in the Pokrovsk direction, where the enemy tried to advance 26 times. Clashes are also ongoing both in the Kupiansk and the Kostiantinivka sectors. The Russians were unable to push back our units. This is also true on the Lyman, northern Slobozhansky and Kursk sections of the front. Our soldiers are holding back the occupiers in the Oleksandrivka direction, where there were 5 enemy assaults. there is no encirclement of Ukrainian units in Pokrovsk, President Zelensky stated. According to him, the Russians understand that they will not be able to take either Kupiansk or Sumy. And that's why they concentrated 170,000 personnel near Pokrovsk. However, it was unsuccessful, because in a year and 3 months the enemy managed to advance only 7 kilometers, while losing tens of thousands. Just in killed alone. President Zelensky said that Putin himself wants to come to Pokrovsk.
An intense and serious battle is underway for Pokrovsk. They were given the task to take this Pokrovsk. Putin says that he will go to Pokrovsk. Sure, by all means, if he comes to Pokrovsk. Everyone will be applauding. We understand how it will all end. There is no encirclement today, and in Pokrovsk, our forces are controlling the situation.
Last night, drones struck Russian energy infrastructure. Thermal power plants, substations, and enemy oil refineries were on fire. A substation was hit in the Vladimir region. Vladimir, one of the key energy system hubs of central Russia, including Moscow. In the city of Orel, UAVs attacked the local thermal power plant. The strike is confirmed by videos from local residents. Part of the city was left without electricity.
Something exploded somewhere. Look, there's a war here. I recorded it. Mom, I'm scared.
In the Yaroslavl region, powerful explosions were heard at the oil refinery due to a drone attack. It was on fire. The largest oil refinery in the region is Slavneft Yanos. It supplies enterprises, railways, airports, and the military-industrial complex of the aggressor country. According to the SBU, since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, Ukraine has struck 160 Russian oil extraction and processing facilities. And this has led to a 20% deficit in the oil products market in Russia. The Age Management Summit was held in Kyiv for the first time, the first conference in Ukraine to bring together doctors, military scientists, and business. And all this is to ensure that Ukrainians are healthier and more energetic to build a new culture of recovery and longevity. Yuri Lozenko will share what he heard and saw.
A nation of long livers is an ambitious but achievable goal, according to the organizers of the Age Management Summit. For the first time in Ukraine, experts from various fields gathered to discuss not only treatment but also prevention and the extension of an active human life.
Age Management, the summit, is an event for civilians, for the military, for business, and for the state. It pursues one common goal: from a nation that is disappearing at the rate of population decline to a nation in the top 5 for longevity in 30 years. We have a 30-year plan, 10,000 years to reach the top 5 in longevity by 2055.
Among the participants are scientists, doctors, veterans, educators, and business people. All of them are working on a shared vision of how to change not a person's passport age, but their biological age.
My goal is to convey one simple thing: the life expectancy of a nation and the effectiveness of business depend on each of us, on every Ukrainian. And the borrowed term from English, age management, means managing age. In simple terms, in Ukrainian, this is modern, preventive, and prophylactic medicine. It is possible. It is accessible to every Ukrainian. At its core is a healthy lifestyle.
Among the partners are representatives of the Hospitallers Medical Battalion who save lives on the front line. For them, prevention and recovery are not just theory but a daily reality.
For me, recovery is still about the importance of rehabilitation and about maximizing the possibility of returning to previous functionality or adapting as much as possible to new ones in those living conditions. Because at the moment, we are actually living in conditions where we have to provide for our defenders, both men and women. The highest quality treatment, the highest quality rehabilitation, and the highest quality return to civilian life.
Private clinics that are implementing the latest methods also presented their developments. Here, the focus is not on fighting age, but on achieving harmony between body and mind.
The main goal of this event is to show people that anti-age is a new direction in medicine, a field where the focus is not on treating, but on preventing the onset of various diseases.
The topic of healthy longevity is of interest not only to professionals, but also to visitors. For many, this is a chance to understand how simple daily habits can change their lives.
I was interested to hear what is being said specifically in our city. We haven't had anything like this here before. It was very useful to hear about the health trends we have here and what new things are being implemented from what already exists abroad.
The summit concluded with the formation of a memorandum, a kind of roadmap toward a nation of long livers. And although the journey is just beginning, the participants are certain that change needs to start today.
I'm glad to be here because I understand that today we are making history, a history of a healthy nation, of healthy individuals, first and foremost mentality. Today we need this more than ever, and as a doctor with extensive experience, specifically in cosmetology, I understand that any topical or external treatments, devices, do not work without supporting overall health.
Ukraine is learning to manage not only its future but also its own age, because the strength of a nation lies in healthy people. Yuri Lozenko, Roman Hribelnik, We Are Ukraine, Marathon, United News.